My name is Sandy Adomaitis, the social media director for the Page International Screenwriting Awards, and your host for the Writers Hangout, a podcast that celebrates the many stages of writing, from inspiration to the first draft, revising, getting a project made, and everything in between. We'll talk to the best and the brightest in the entertainment industry and create a space where you can hang out, learn from the pros, and have fun.
All right, I think it's time to do a show.
Cool.
And we are rolling.
Hi, I'm Sandy Adomaitis.
Hi, I'm Terry Sampson.
And welcome to the Writers Hangout. Terry, how was your week?
It was delectable.
Did you have a special meal? What was going on? Oh, what would you have as your last meal?
This will provide volumes.
Oh, insight.
Yeah, it would be the last one going out, the double In-N-Out burger.
Oh,
That's how I'd go out with that one. How about you?
I only think about this for a few seconds, and it just freaks me out to think about it. And I always lean into grilled cheese.
Yeah.
A good grilled cheese sandwich and French fries. Yeah. And then I always think of my mom used to make baked stuffed shrimp. And so I would prefer that for last meal. I just don't think I could get that for a last meal. So probably grilled cheese and French fries for my sophisticated palate.
I'm really happy to hear you say that on that type of level. The ones that actually, the people that scare me are going to go off on almost speaking a language that I've never heard, with certain herbs done at a certain time of the day.
Provence.
Through a...
Escargot.
Yes, and done a certain way. They might even name a few cooks. I'd like this guy to do that and this guy to do that.
Yeah, it's all emotional.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's a trick in which they'll never die because they'll never pull that together. No one's getting those people in one room to make her meal, her or his meal. So it's a good trick.
Another thing that I've been doing a lot this week, per usual, is I'm on social media a lot. And I came across this interesting X feed or Twitter feed. Where are you, Terry? For me, I kept calling it Twitter. I'm giving up. It's X now. I would like to make a stand and keep saying Twitter, 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 Twitter. But the X is starting to get into my brain, and I'm going to start calling it X.
My issue is I've seen so many bad things happen on social media. I just distance myself.
It's healthy. That's very healthy to do.
But I hear that X is not going over well as a name.
Right. But it's, well, you go through phases. It was like, well, I'm just going to keep calling it Twitter. Now I'm going to call it Twitter X. And now I'm just on X.
The next stage is for people who aren't happy with X or Twitter is to call it bitter. I believe that's the next move.
Yes.
I'm going on bitter. Guess how?
I think that's going to catch on.
Okay.
I really do.
Right. Well, let's get something going.
So I found this very interesting X feed, aka bitter feed, that I thought our writers would find interesting. This writer by the name of Tyler Claire Smith wrote on X, "Repped writers, how did you find your manager and or agent? What wisdom can you share with the unrepped who would love to see a thread here of all the myriad ways it happens?"
That is good.
One writer said, "Nearly a dozen writers told me it was just querying. Stop paying for contests and just focus on writing great scripts and solid queries." A few others said just networking.
Who would they send it to?
Well, to a query would be to managers, agents, producers, production companies. And it's that query letter is probably in query email.
Oh, sure. I got to ask, does this, I mean, obviously this must work for this person. Does this really work?
Query letters?
Yeah.
Well, this person was basically saying, just write, just query letters. It was one of the first responses. And I, of course, don't agree with that. I think you should use every tool in the toolbox. And contests are a great way to get into the business. But...
well, who has time not to? Right?
Exactly. Right. Someone else jumped in and said, "Your best chance of getting repped." This was Jeffrey James Ong. And he's repped by UTA. Nice. United
Okay.
Talent Agency and Bellevue Productions. Nice.
Great.
He said your best chances of getting repped is to commit to all the ways one can break in. Submit to contests, write professional queries, network, host scripts on the blacklist, Coverfly, etc. Give yourself exposure. Really work on concepts and log lines. When in doubt, keep writing. And then Tom Sherrick said, went through the Roadmap Writers Career Writing Program and built a network of relationships with managers, execs. FYI, Roadmap Writers, which Tom just mentioned, is a friend of the Page Awards. And what is Roadmap Writers? Roadmap Writers is a screenwriting education and training platform for people looking for a guided path to professional success writing for film and TV. They have programs, and they are hosted by working industry executives and are designed to empower writers with tools and insights to elevate their craft and cultivate relationships with industry professionals. Founded in 2016 by Joey Tuccio and Dorian Connolly, Roadmap has helped over 300 writers get signed with representation, with countless others have got staff on TV shows and gotten their scripts optioned and sold. So,
Do you know how long they've been in business?
they were formed in 2016.
Wow.
And again, Tom is saying that he got repped by Roadmap Writers. So that is a program that's open to anyone. Just go to roadmapwriters.com and they have a series of programs that help you get represented.
300 since 2016 is really good.
Yeah, and they're wonderful people. They love and respect writers. Also, on a side note, Joey finds homes for dogs.
Oh,
Yeah, it's pretty special. Laura wrote in and said, my manager followed me on Twitter and read 2 of her scripts on Coverfly. One script was on the red list from receiving contest accolades, which is the red list is part of Coverfly. Mm-hmm. He approached me and I sent an early draft of another pilot. Now, what is Coverfly? These are all programs that are out there and available.
Right.
What is Coverfly? This is via their LinkedIn page. Again, Page is friends with Coverfly. Connects emerging writers with Hollywood, guiding writers to improve their craft and career through partnerships with top competitions, fellowships, and coverage providers. We offer a variety of programs to showcase great talent while being good stewards of aspiring writers as they determine their next step forward.
And it's free to join. Why not?
Why not?
I even put my picture on my Coverfly page. No, let it shine. Put it out there.
Now, Susan Griffin commented, another one for Roadmap. Roadmap Writers introed me to my rep while I was participating in their top tier program. I got into the TT program having written scripts that won a Stowe Fellowship and had numerous prestigious lab contest placements. I've been taking generals and pitching in top tier. I might add, the humans who run Roadmap Writers are amazing. They believe in me. They were always there for me. And they actually do this because they love writers and great writing.
I applaud them.
That's great. Mm-hmm. Danielle said, I became friendly with someone on Twitter who offered to read me, then recommended me to my manager that they knew. That's great. This is what Nathan said. Concept, concept, concept. There's so much noise out there. You have to understand a rep's POV and grab them with that logline. Fresh, high concept, concise, a marketable genre, and at a budget level that is not too small or too high. I'm not about the too small. Can you have a budget that's too small? I mean...
No, because the script should always be worth $2 million.
Always $2 million.
There's just where it starts, right?
Jamie Nash is the author of Save the Cat, writes for TV. I'm sort of old school, where I chase producers first. Then, after I got things made, I was already talking to reps who worked with those producers. Nick said, Coverfly went to the mat for me. It still comes down to having the portfolio and nailing the meetings, but having a third party vouch for me was invaluable.
Yeah, I bet that feels safer for them by Coverfly, taking a look at them. Coverfly.
Right. The third party recommendation is great.
And please, everyone believe what she just said.
This is what Stephen said. Remember, this is a thread that a writer started on X asking how writers get their representation. And these rep writers all are writing back on X. Jennifer wrote, Joey Tuccio and Roadmap writers believed in me and made the introductions for me to get repped 2 times. Wow. I highly recommend them to everyone. Best people. And she gave a heart.
You have the heart part?
Mm-hmm.
Now, who's Joey?
Joey and Dorian are the founders of Roadmap Writers.
And he has something to do with dogs, right?
He rescues dogs.
Right. And when you say that, it's not that he rescues poorly written scripts. He means real dogs, the kind that bark, right? Because I might need that other thing done.
The 4-legged kind.
Well,
he rescues dogs from the streets.
Who doesn't love that?
Who doesn't love that? Joey, you're the best.
Yeah, and if you punch up a script now and then, that's another kind of rescue.
Oh, it's so sweet. Now, Jane Epson joined the conversation. It's got some pretty amazing credits. Buffy, Battlestar Galactica, Game of Thrones, Once Upon a Time, and Fantasy Island. This is what Jane had to say. I was in the ABC Disney Fellowship, and this exec running the program set up a meeting for me, a tremendous gift. Now, what is the ABC Disney Fellowship? You can find this online. The fellowship is a writing program, is a highly selective annual TV staffing program. The goal is to staff emerging and diverse television writings on DET scripted series. The writers of the program are given contracts as employees of Disney for 1 year. You get money.
Okay.
Or until they're staffed on a show and receive mentorship, professional development, and unprecedented access to the company and its creative executives, producers, showrunners, and the program.
Wow. So
they just open the doors.
Wow. That's wild.
Go online and there's different fellowships out there. There's the Disney Fellowship, Warner Brothers, Nickelodeon, all have fellowships. Matt wrote in and said, I pitched a script to a producer who then wanted to option my project. So I reached out to a couple of agents to see who wanted to negotiate the deal for me.
Wow.
They get instant money. I get instant representation. Everybody wins. Exactly.
Yeah.
Writers, if a production company comes to you and says, we're interested in your script, would like to option it, immediately go out there.
You're more likely to get more money.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a team member now.
Yes.
Who wasn't there before.
Yes. This is what Carter said. I worked as an assistant at a studio, befriended next-door development people, got asked what I was writing by a development ex. He liked the idea, offered to read it, had notes. I worked very hard on those notes. He was impressed enough to give it to an agent who signed me.
Wow.
That is great.
Yeah.
This is what Brett said. First rep I got because I did really well in a big contest. Lots of folks sniffing after me. That's a screenwriting contest. But the then impending 2007 strike put the kibosh on new signings, except for one small boutique shop that really impressed me. Second rep came when I had a specific thing he liked. Taylor said, my friend who I met during my first internship had a coordinator job for a manager and gave my pilot to his boss, who loved it and wanted to meet. Manager got me my agent, but that only happened after I had an episode of TV on air. And I'm going to read another one because these two kind of go together. Allison said, I didn't get a manager until after I staffed with the same sample I had queried with previously. A writer in the room recommended me to their manager, and their recommendation really made it happen. What happens a lot to writers is you don't necessarily get an agent till you get your first job, whether that's your first job staffing or that's your first film. And then the agents and managers come knocking on your door. Not always. You still have to go after them, and you also still have to figure out who's the best for you. But a lot of times that is the rule. You get your first job, then you get your first manager or rep. Joanna said, I had a good relationship with someone I met at an agency because we both like to gab about Real Housewives. She sent my script to a manager who was looking for comedy writers. Just always be writing and seek out people you like. It happens in ways you don't expect. Joanna, I want to be friends with you in IRL because I too will gab about housewives. This is what Kimba said. I had a feature option by a director. I had a meeting with him and his rep, and they ended up representing me. Don't have tons of wisdom, but can only say keep writing and keep getting better at it. I was not looking for representation at the time, but it came my way.
Well, that's an interesting angle.
Yes. Terry, has there been anything that I've said so far that's really jumped out to you that maybe is new, maybe a new angle that you didn't think of? Maybe.
Well, I like the idea that things came out from realized sources, and I don't find that very often happens.
Cool. Scott said, I think the first step in getting repped is finding a crew of folks who will give you unvarnished feedback on your scripts. Oh no, don't do that.
Yeah. Scott and I, we have a different view from atop the mountain.
We just want compliments, Scott. No. If everybody is, I love this, what Scott just says next. If everybody is telling you your first draft of your script is perfect, you need to find some readers willing to level with you so you can get better.
Oh, well.
Love you, Scott. I agree with that 100. If you're just giving your script to family members that love you who are not in the industry, they're just so happy and excited for you and they want to be supportive. And I'm not saying that they can't give you good notes, but you really need to be able to give your script to people that are going to roll up their sleeves and give you the best notes to make the script better.
If screenwriting or any kind of writing at all is a race, I believe there's a point in time when you get to, let's call it the finish line, and you cross over that you need to build a certain amount of certainty in your own skills.
Yes.
And once you reach that, you're more likely to take criticism better, take it well and make something better. Sometimes in the early start of anything, you're really questioning whether you can do anything or not.
Exactly.
And that's when you need to just listen to your dad and mom. Or borrow somebody's dad and mom if you don't have anybody. It's really easy to squash something in the beginning. So either temper that a little bit when you're getting started, but at some point, you're going to have so much assurance about what you're doing that you're going to be open to listening to somebody say, well, what happens if you did this? And you go, ooh.
Right.
Ooh, that is good.
Yeah.
And that's going to make you a saleable item.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Just know where you are in the process.
Yeah, just know where you are in the process when you've completed your first draft. Your issues probably aren't even story. They could be as simple as you don't know how to format.
Right.
You don't know how to get in a scene and get out of a scene. You forget about a character. You change a character's name.
What happened to Bob?
I once wrote something that was in the summer, and all of a sudden they're in the plane. When they look out, there's snow on the ground. How did that happen?
That was a fast few months.
Yes, you have to remember where you are, and your first draft's going to have issues. And I guess where I was going with that, you can be very tough and harsh when you give notes, and that helps nobody. So it's important what you said, Terry. Know where you are in the process. If you're not ready to hear that your baby is ugly, don't get your notes till you're ready. Right. Also, don't give your first draft to a potential buyer. Make sure it's your 10th draft before you give it to a potential buyer. Why give your crappy stuff to someone they're never going to look at your stuff again? Sam said, I continuously worked on my craft, won in a contest, and my manager found that script from that. I made sure I had more work I was really confident in to send him when he requested it. So make sure you have more than one great script. Sam is so right. If you get a script to an agent for consideration, trust me, they're going to say, hey, I like that. What else have you got? They need to know that you can write more than one thing. Plus, it buys them time, the delay tactic, and it's prevalent. You're always going to be asked, what else you got?
I always say the same thing, and that is that I wrote The Sound of Music. Now, I'm hoping it takes them a long time to figure out I didn't. In the meantime, the other thing gets made. Is that should I not do that? Is that wrong?
No, you go to writer jail for that. Faith said, I kept my head down and worked on my craft while recovering from major depression. I wrote something I loved and felt like me. I shared it with a friend I had made nerding out about movies. He loved it and passed it on to his reps. They thankfully also loved it and signed me.
Wow.
I love Faith's answer. She worked through, even though she was depressed, she had something in her and she wrote it and she had the guts to share it with someone who liked it enough to give it to their rep.
The big win.
Nate said, I was an assistant, made friends with other assistants. Then 5 years later, one of those friends moved into representation and I hit him up with a sample. Make real friends. Agree.
Strap yourself right to them. Never let them go.
Adam said, perseverance is the key. If you're getting requests but no offers, your letter is solid, but your manuscript needs work. Heed agent feedback to hone your work. If no requests, your pitch letter needs work, and your manuscript may just be fine. Keep going. You'll get there. Also think of, you got a script and it's got a lot of nudity. Maybe the Nickelodeon Fellowship isn't the right script to send. But you have another script that has kids in it, but it has some swear words. Take the swear words out, send it to Nickelodeon. Be smart. Just don't be sending stuff out willy-nilly. You just gotta figure it out. Okay. Ravenwood Films said, used DB Pro to research some of our favorite writers in our genre and found the reps. Wrote brief, killer query letters to said reps. Managers, not agents. Sent them out to specifically targeted managers, got responses, signed NDAs, and sent varied samples. They did a lot of hard work. So basically, they found other writers that wrote like them, contacted their managers with killer letters.
All right.
You have a puzzled look on your face. Any questions?
Yes. Killer letters.
Query letters, yes.
Yeah. Off the top of your head, what would that be?
great logline, who you are,
Right.
why you, everything in you, why you are special and should be paid attention to, and a sweet in and out.
Well, let's say, for instance, I wanted to do a movie about a lost dog.
Yes.
Who turns into a superhero, and I write that script.
Right.
I'm going to try to find a manager who has done work like that.
The manager who's rep writers, which is what this person did, who also,
Rep writers that wrote Marvel-like scripts. And so then my next thing would say, you don't know me.
You don't know me, but I am the president of Dog Rescue.
Okay.
Who have personally rescued 500 dogs, and I have killer logline script. I've been part of the Groundlings. This is my story. And this is why I should tell it with passion. Yes. That's just off the top of my head.
Okay. I see that. So you point the arrow.
Yes.
You get very specific. I've got this idea, and I'm going to look for a person who has done things like that. Then I'm going to have a killer logline.
Right.
And a good description. And then I'm going to say, and I've also, this is about me here, love to talk to you.
Yes.
And see, now I would think that would be a rarity, but I love these people coming in saying not so rare as you think.
That agent or manager is also a human being, and they might...
Are you sure about that?
Is also a human being with feelings. And it might be like, oh, Sandy's a manager. She likes feminist post-apocalyptic
dogs.
Dogs. Yes, movies with dogs.
Right.
If you've got a feminist leader who has a dog by her side and the apocalypse has happened, Sandy might read that script. So I'm going to send it to her.
And thus, Wonder Pup is...
Yes, that was Ravenwood Films. Thank you. That was good. Amir said, when my first feature came out, an assistant at a streaming service reached out and wanted to meet. Nothing really came of it until 6 to 12 months later when he and others got laid off. He went off and created a management company and wanted to rep me.
Wow.
Great. Now, Amir also mentioned that he worked with Stowe Story Labs, founded in 2013. Stowe Story Labs is a nonprofit that works with screenwriters and filmmakers to help develop skills and projects with the ultimate goal of helping to get work made and seen. They do this through labs, retreats, ongoing mentoring, marketing experience, and long-form line writing programs. And coincidentally, they're opening up for applications on November 1st.
Okay.
So go check them out. They're a great program and
why not?
Really good people. Evan said, friends in writing groups. If your stuff is good, they'll look good passing it on to people they know. Writing groups, absolutely. This writer, Dan, said he wrote that Terrence Winter has the best story I've ever heard. He created an LLC agency, name only, and sent his stuff out with the agency name on it. Eventually, he got a gig and a real agent.
He faked himself as an agent and sent things out.
As an agency, An agency.
And wow. Yes. And so he got more attention because he was an agency pitching to a production company.
And he is the creator, writer, and executive producer of a little TV show called Boardwalk Empire.
Look at that. I'm just saying to those poor production people that get a big package of mail from I Don't Know What I'm Doing Productions. It could be me.
It could be you, Terry.
Yes, it could. I'm not saying it is. You should look at it and love it.
Now, at this point, a lit manager and head of Bellevue Productions and a producer, John Zazerny, jumped in, and he said, I've signed clients via query letters via the Blacklist website. Everybody knows the Blacklist.
Okay.
Once a year, the Blacklist comes out with a list of movies. The Blacklist is great. Via script pipeline, via client referrals, via Austin Film Festival, via Page Awards, and any way that puts a great writer on my radar. Now when I was looking at this, there were 21 comments underneath John's sub-comment. Now, when a lit manager, head of Bellevue Productions, jumps in on a Twitter feed, people then want to talk to John. And that's what happened. Now, the first person, I'm reading this kind of as maybe as a teaching moment. This lovely, lovely, lovely person, Michelle, wrote to John and said, "This thread is much appreciated. I'm a dual national. I'm Canadian and UK. And my latest grounded genre pilot is set in the UK with the ability to move anywhere globally after establishing characters. Would a US-based agent be interested in a project like this?" Now, John said, "I think it would be an uphill battle, as most US buyers tend to prefer US set pilots. But it's possible if it's intriguing enough." Michelle, I know you wanted an answer to this question, but you might have caught John's attention with what your script is about.
It's always the story, not the details of the story. It moves from here to here in a delightful way. You're going to love this.
Yeah. I think John is hinting to her, but it's possible if it's intriguing enough. What's intriguing about your project? Michelle, I've been there. I'm not judging you. Not judging you at all. And then Jim wrote, "Would you be able to guess the percentage of signees you've signed through queries?" And John said, "Wasn't very high pre-pandemic, but has risen significantly since then. To be fair, so has the number of queries. I've guessed that because 1, Bellevue profile has risen in the last few years. 2, my being on Twitter has resulted in increased visibility as well." And then, Well, Hear Me said, "And how do I send you a query letter? Is there an email or website where I can send?" You really need to be proactive, look up his name, find out his email. It's all out in the internet. You just have to look up Bellevue Productions and send him an email. You've got to show that you have grit and determination besides talent.
There you go.
I highly recommend everybody go back and take a look because, of course, everybody is still adding to the X feed. So there's a lot of new answers on there. And John has even added some new details. I'd like to thank Tyler Claire Smith for writing such a good question on X. Terry, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I learned a lot.
I'm really glad. So, writers, we're very excited because next week we're going to be recapping
The Ghost and Mr. Chicken.
with special guest Mark Steen.
It's going to be great.
That's a wrap for the Writers Hangout. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, like, and thrive. Till we get to hang out again, keep writing. The world needs your stories. The Writers Hangout is sponsored by the Page International Screenwriting Awards. Executive producer, Kristin Overn. Producers, Terry Sampson and Sandy Adomaitis. Music by Ethan Stoller.